Is there any historical precedent for this, meaning, this letter, members of the administration speaking out this way about a president they serve?
No, there's nothing at all like this in American history. Now, we've had the mystery of anonymous before. I mean, back in 1947, George Kennan, working for the State Department, famously wrote a Mr. X article. He was Mr. X, and Kennan wanted to warn us about the dangers of the Soviet Union. He had to go over bosses' heads, and he wrote this famous article about containing Soviet expansionism. This anonymous person in the New York Times is talking about containing the President of the United States. It rings completely true with Bob Woodward's research and many other reporters. And so we are in a constitutional crisis in our country right now. If we're going to compare it, I think it might be Nixon at the very end when, as John Dean knows, you listen to the Nixon tapes and Nixon would bark out all sorts of orders, and sometimes people wouldn't listen to him anymore. Like Henry Kissinger would say, "Yes, sir," and then not listen. This seems to be a thin blue line of some patriots working within our federal government that are keeping an eye on Donald Trump's deeply erratic behavior.
Hey, Douglas, can I ask you, do you think maybe it's just someone now who is afraid of, I talked to Chris about this earlier, if people, when they're living it, they don't realize that they're on the wrong side of history, right? They think they're right. I'm sure bigots and racists and all those people who supported Nixon, they thought that they were on the right side of history, and then they were bamboozled. Do you think that this person may just say, well, I want to be on the right side of history, and they're doing it maybe just for that reason?
Absolutely, person or persons. And, there's some good people in the Trump administration, like Dan Coates, who is somebody who, realizes the horror of what happened in Helsinki, and people like General Mattis. So we won't know. I don't know when we'll find out who Anonymous is. I mean, as you rightfully pointed out, it took Vanity Fair decades to break it with Mark Felt. But this person has stuck their neck out. It's very brave. They didn't get paid or made money doing this. And it's, I think, a public service. And the fact that Donald Trump didn't ignore it and started screaming the word treason and now wants the New York Times to cough up a reporter, it smacks of Nixon and his war against journalism. And so, we're living on Nixon times 10 right now.